So you've heard from some that coronavirus is just like the flu. Let's talk to someone who's experiencing it right now. Clay Bentley, he's living with coronavirus. He's currently under quarantine in a hospital room in Rome, Georgia, just outside Atlanta. He recently posted this message to his loved ones.
Didn't look good. Didn't look good for a while. And it's been a hard road. But I'm here to tell you that when you got the Word of God to stand on, there ain't no weapon formed against you can prosper. I had a lot of people contact me, let me know that they're praying. You just don't know what that means.
Wow. Clay Bentley is with us now live from Cisco. His hospital room is under quarantine right now. We're also joined by Dr. Carlos Del Rio, professor of medicine and global health at Emory University. Clay, we're just so glad that you turned the corner. Can you tell us how you're doing this morning?
Well, I think I've turned the corner. I think I'm improving, getting better. It's been a long road, but I'm getting through it. I'm improving daily.
Tell us, Clay, if you can, how the hospital first reacted with your symptoms, et cetera, and how quickly they tested you, because it's our understanding that they sent you home before testing you, and you came back a few days later. How did that go down?
I came to the hospital last Monday, really, really sick. So they kept me in the hospital all day, ran tests, ran flu, put fluids through me all day. They asked me if I'd been out of the country, if I'd been to China, different places in the world, and I told them no. So they said, well, the flu's coming back negative, so it don't mean you don't have the flu. They're just not 100%, so we're just going to send you home. So they sent me home on Monday. Well, I progressively got worse over the next few days, and I wound up calling the hospital on Friday morning, and I said, I feel like y'all just sent me home to die. I said, I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse. And
wow.
So, they told me to come immediately back to the hospital. So once I got back to the hospital, then they started realizing that I probably have the coronavirus, and they got in touch with the CDC, started doing tests, and it all came back positive. So, the thing that they talk about being out of the country is one of the indicators of needing a test.
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere. I'm retired, so.
Clay, we see obviously that you have some oxygen helping you,
Yes.
right? Can you talk to us about the treatment that they have given you since they did confirm that you had coronavirus? What did the hospital do for you?
Well, I have both my lungs I can't think straight. Both my lungs have fluid in my lungs. And so they've been giving me medications for pneumonia. I'm sorry. I got viral pneumonia in both lungs. So they've been giving me fluids for that and giving me antibiotics, just breathing treatments. And, they're just trying all kind of stuff to get me feeling better. So it's starting to come around. But, my message is, I'm a man of God. I'll just tell you, I'm a man of God, and I believe in faith. And if anybody has more reason to be upset or uptight, it should have been me, because I feel like I got this virus. I was at a church singing in a church choir with over 100 people, and this is where I contacted this virus. And I just felt like the enemy was, he wants to take us out. He wants to take us out. But and the Lord told me, that weapons will be formed against me. These things would come, and they have come in my past. But the Lord also says that no weapon formed against me can prosper. That He'd give us power to overcome these things that come against us. So You know, we have to realize who our enemy is. And
Okay. Dr. Del Rio, we have Dr. Del Rio with us here as well. I wonder what this case, and there are many cases like this around the country, tells us about how hospitals are responding to cases like this. So someone like Clay comes in with these symptoms, he's sent home, right? And he has to call him to come back. Are hospitals not yet prepared to identify potential cases here? And do they now have the ability to do so? Are they changing their restrictions, their responses? Do they have the test kits? What can we learn from this?
So, good morning, Jim and Poppy. I think we can learn a lot. And first of all, I want to say to Mr. Bentley, wish him he recovers. I think what we have here is a lot of things that we all need to pay attention to. Number one is that hospitals are not ready yet, and they're not ready simply because we have very little access to testing. And I think the lack of access to testing is a major hurdle in addressing this. I think that people at the hospital thought about this from day one, likely, but they probably, again, he was not within what the recommendations were at that point for testing. What the case of Mr. Bentley shows us is that there's community transmission already happening, and I think we need to recognize in all our communities that community transmission is happening, that travel history is no longer of significance, and the fact that we have significant community transmission is not just happening in Washington State, in New York, it's happening throughout the country, and we need to be aware. And I think the lack of access to testing continues to be a barrier to taking care of patients efficiently and rapidly.
Exactly to that point, Clay, back to you. As we understand it, your wife is a flight attendant. Is she currently flying, and has she been tested?
they have put her on quarantine at her house. She can't fly because she's been in contact with me. She has not been sick, and she does fly, but she flies up and down the coast. She don't fly out of the country. But you know, that don't necessarily mean that she hasn't flown with somebody on a plane that's been out of the country.
Yeah.
It just means she personally just flies up and down the coast. So, I mean, it could have come through that too. So, but no, she's under quarantine. She can't fly. She's under quarantine for a couple of weeks at home. So,
but she has not been tested. That's right.
She has not. She has not been tested, and I've wondered why would they not test my wife? I mean, that should have been automatic, I think.
So Dr. Del Rio, you hear that case there. You say hospitals are not ready. They don't have the testing capability. Why? What's happening? Who's failing here to have a uniform response across the country so you can help and identify cases early, like Clay's?
There was a lot of failure. There's been a lot of mishap in the developing of tests by the CDC, in the way the FDA and other regulations. When the president declared this a national emergency, it activated a series of regulations by the FDA that prevented what we call laboratory developed tests.
Right.
So laboratories were unable to develop tests. Changing that regulation is now moving forward. But again, we are behind the 8 ball, and I think catching up is not going to be easy. We're trying to, but I tell you, the testing capabilities are not where they need to be. Yeah. And even though tests are now being distributed to CDC to all the states are simply not yet ready to test hundreds of people. I can tell you that I know states where the limitation is maybe 50 tests a day. So they still need to limit testing to people who are sick.
50 tests a day. Goodness.
I mean, and look, just to Dr. Del Rio's point, the New York Times piece on the doctor in Seattle who a month ago developed a test for this.
Was told not to test.
And was shut down because it didn't follow the regulations and the guidelines, et cetera, laid out here. Clay, you spend a lot of time at church. You sing in the church choir. You were singing in the choir with about 100 other people right before you came down with this and went to the hospital?
That's right. That's right.
So what's the church doing about it?
I have heard that there were other people that's in that church choir that's in the hospital now. I have heard that they are at least now 7 or 8 people out of this particular church in the hospital.
Wow.
So, yeah. And, this is what I see. Instead of dealing with doing the testing and testing the people that need to be tested, everybody's running in fear and taking care of things on their own. And, I got a son. That's 36 years old. He works in law enforcement. the community that he works in, they've called him and said, we have heard through the grapevine that your dad has got coronavirus, so we're going to send you home, so don't come back to work for 2 or 3 weeks. And I hadn't even been around him. And then yesterday, I got a 4-year-old grandson, his son. They've canceled his school because, they found out that I got coronavirus, and I hadn't even been around my grandchild, And so I feel like everybody's running in mass hysteria, trying to take care of things instead of finding the people who need to be tested and let's take care of the problem. I feel like I'm in prison because, nobody can come see me. I can't even walk out of the room. So, I worked law enforcement my whole career, so I feel like I'm in a jail cell and just can't get away, So hopefully I'll be out of here soon.